Hello everybody, today I'm going to introduce you to a game called Field Commander Alexander by DBG Games. This game, I didn't do an unboxing for this game because I got it second hand and everything had already been clipped, all of the counters and everything, so an unboxing would have been quite boring. This game is possibly a war game, although some people say it's not. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual game mechanics and compare them to something else, because Marco Wargamer has done an excellent video on this one and it's already available on the Board Game Geek, so you might want to check this out. I'll also add a link later. I'm going to talk about the game itself, why I like it, if I think it's worth playing. And I'm just going to go briefly over a couple of pieces of information around gameplay. The gameplay itself is, in my opinion, quite abstract. So that's why quite a lot of people say it's not a war game. When you look at the map, there are 4 maps included in this game that lead Alexander from Chaironea on the Peloponnese all the way to the east to his last big battle against the Persian Empire at Gaugamela. This is the last one. Gaugamela is over here, and then over all the way to Hydaspes, north of the Indus, where he basically finished his exploits in 324 BC. That's when the game ends. So basically it spans 14 years, starting at Chaironea, which was the big battle that led to the unification, or almost unification, of ancient Greece. And when you look at the maps, you can see immediately that they are very different from your hex-based war games, and even the way the army is shown is very, very different. The army and the forces that you have are basically represented by this chip. This is Alexander's army, which moves around the map. So at the moment we're at Granicus. I just fought this battle and I won. Basically now the next steps are to go to Sardis, Halicarnassus and Lycia. And when you do engage in battle, you basically don't fight on a hex playing field where you move your troops. So for example, you flank or you envelop or whatever, but you basically just place them on a battle mat like this, and depending on their initiative, a decision is made who goes first. So basically these archers, they have a speed of 5, they would go first. You would roll, try to beat the battle value, which is the big number in the right hand corner, the 2 in this case. So if you roll a 2 or less, then this unit hits, and then you allocate the hits and you make a decision where to allocate them. So basically this is very very abstract. It's not very strategic at all, and somebody who really wants to get immersed in a simulation of a battle will find this very, very boring. I still like it, and possibly because of its abstract nature. I'm interested in war games, I'm very interested in strategic games, but I also know that I don't always have time to immerse myself in hours and hours of GMT games, which have a very, sometimes very inaccessible rule set, take a lot of time, take a lot of preparation, and you just need to bear loads and loads of things in mind when you're playing. Having said this, I've just bought Conquest of Gaul, Infidel, and Devil's Horseman, which I'm going to do unboxings for, and which I'm going to do videos for as well, so it's not like I'm not interested in that kind of game. But Alexander, Field Commander Alexander, is, in my opinion, a gateway game that you can give to somebody who's interested in trying their hand at light war games, with a strategic element to them. And I would like to point out how the strategy works, because unlike, for example, Infidel, this game, Field Commander Alexander, could be considered to a certain extent to be card driven, because when you look at the way battles are fought, you basically just place the different troops that you have and you square them off against each other, and then you roll one die, and that's basically quite luck based. Fair enough, but in order to bring about some mitigating factors, we have on the one hand the concept of the advisor, and these cards, by the way, don't come with the game. I downloaded them from the Board Game Geek and sleeved them. In the game they come like in the form of little chips, and I have to say that I tend to overlook them, so I prefer the cards. And these advisors, for example, make it possible for you as the player to change the way some rules are applied. You also have so-called battle plans for yourself and for the enemy, which allow you to, for example, flank, or if you have a fate, you can re-roll one die, you can rally, which stops one hit, you can charge, which means that the cavalry, which can only move every other turn, can actually move, or fight rather, on 2 consecutive turns, and so on and so forth. You also have enemy operations, which you have to perform once every turn, and these basically usually deploy forces. So if you have this one, you deploy 3 forces, and at some point, deploying means you just basically stack them down here, and at some point as you go through this deck, you will draw an operation which reads go, which means that in this case, once you draw this, all of these forces will be deployed on the map. And in this particular campaign, the Granicus campaign, this means that all of these forces will be deployed in Halicarnassus. So Halicarnassus already has 3 forces and 1 wall, and then we get 6 additional forces, so this would be quite a devastating thing to happen. So in a way, I want to go to Halicarnassus as quickly as possible and occupy it, because if I manage to occupy it before I reach the go stage in operations, all of these forces will be annihilated and I will not suffer from an assault by these troops. Another thing that is very important when we look at the historical Alexander is the role his religious beliefs and his unshakable belief in his destiny played. His mother Olympias, wife of Philip II, told Alexander from very early on that his true father wasn't Philip II at all, but Zeus. And Alexander always believed that it was his destiny to rule the known world. And quite a lot of his charisma and his way of rallying the troops depended on his strong belief that he was on a mission sent by the Olympian gods to unify the world and to Hellenize the world, to spread Greekdom, if you like, across the known world. And he used this quite often to rally the troops. In pre-battle speeches, he would call upon them to say, well, we're here to fight the Persians, to wipe them out, to make sure that Greece rules all. And he also believed that there could only be one king, and that was him. He was supreme. There could be other kings, and there could be other religious beliefs, and there could be other ways of worship and other cultures in his empire, and he had no problem with them. He also sacrificed to foreign gods. He rebuilt their temples. He dressed in the local garb when he ventured into a new territory and conquered them. so he was very open to new cultures, but he always said, you can be king, but you're always accountable to me, and I'm accountable to the supreme god, who is Zeus. And in order to reflect this very important psychological momentum that he gathered for his own conquests, the game employs the method of prophecies. Prophecies are little tasks that you need to fulfill within a certain time frame in order to advance your Alexander. Alexander starts as a very, very weak entity with a battle value of 1. So in order for Alexander to hit anything, you need to roll a 1 and a speed of 0, so he usually gets to act last. And when you start fulfilling prophecies, you upgrade your Alexander, if you like. So now I've already fulfilled 1, so now I've got an Alexander who's strength 2 and has speed 1, so he's actually advanced now. And I like this mechanic very much because it means that the leader and Alexander played, his leadership played the decisive role in the conquest of India by the Greeks. If it hadn't been for his visionary ideas and his personal charisma, it would never have worked. And I like this idea that this leader can be advanced and can become stronger and stronger. So, why do I like this game? First of all, I think it plays really easily. You don't have to remember loads and loads of different ways of movement or charging and counter-charging and okay, this one goes first, an initiative here and there and everywhere. So it's very easy to learn. It's very nicely themed. I think it's an abstract game with a very strong theme behind it. And I also like the artwork. I think the maps are really, really well done. And I like the concept of using these cards to drive forward the strategic aspects of the game. They give you plenty of choices, which you would in a GMT game. You would gain, for example, through the different types of troops that you have. Here it's done through basic strategic decisions that the game affords you. It's around, I think, $50. It's available from DVG Games. I saw it on the website the other day. It seems to be in stock. I found it almost impossible to get it in Europe. I had to get it second-hand and I paid a lot for it. I don't know why it's not being stocked anymore in Europe. Like I said, I think it's a really good game. I understand why hardened, dyed-in-the-wool wargamers don't find it appealing, but if you're interested in strategy games that have an ancients theme to them, if you're interested in Alexander the Great, give this a go. Okay, thanks, bye.